Imagine living in a world where no matter how hard you work, literally nothing changes. Where powerful people just control everything. Where ordinary families wake up and struggle every single day just to survive. There's no freedom, no voice, honestly, no hope. You're trapped in this system that's literally designed to keep you down. And day after day, year after year, the weight of that reality just presses so heavily on your shoulders. But right in the middle of that absolute darkness, a really strange thought emerges. What if the person everyone completely overlooked was actually the exact person chosen to change history? Think about that for a second. What if your weakness was actually your greatest advantage? Just let that sink in. Now, imagine that the person destined to break that massive, crushing oppression wasn't some mighty king, not a famous, towering warrior, and definitely not a wealthy, highly connected leader. No, it was a man most people would never, ever even notice. A man named Ehud. So this all goes down during a really dark time, recorded in the book of Judges. The Israelites had fallen entirely under the control of King Eglon, the powerful ruler of Moab. And for 18 long years, Israel suffered under this Moabite oppression. 18 years. That's almost 2 decades of pressure, of fear, and of deep, deep frustration. I mean, imagine parents struggling just to feed their kids while foreign rulers sat back and enjoyed absolute luxury. Imagine hardworking people watching the fruits of their daily labor benefit someone else entirely. It's heartbreaking. And, thousands of years later, this ancient explainer feels painfully relevant to us. Because even right now, today, so many people are silently fighting their own version of oppression. We're talking about financial pressure that just never seems to lift, delayed dreams, crushing rejection, failure, or systems deliberately designed to keep people invisible. Some folks work endlessly but remain completely stuck financially. Others feel entirely trapped by circumstances way beyond their control. This is the quiet oppression of our time. But somewhere among those struggling Israelites was a guy nobody expected to become a hero. The text introduces Ehud with one highly unusual detail for a warrior back then. He was left-handed. Now today that might sound totally unimportant, right? Who cares? But in those days, it made him drastically different. The standard warrior carried weapons in very predictable ways, mostly because almost everyone was right-handed. Ehud was different. And people, then just as they do now, often vastly underestimate what is different. Even today, society is so quick to label people. You know the drill. You're too old. You started too late. You're too quiet. And a lot of people spend years, literally decades, believing those negative voices. But Ehud's story reveals something absolutely incredibly powerful. It shows us that sometimes your difference is not a weakness. Sometimes it's the very thing that makes your assignment possible. It's a real game changer. See, every single year, Israel was forced to deliver tribute to King Eglon. Gold, food, resources, you name it. This endless oppression was killing their confidence, crushing their vision, and convincing them that change was literally impossible. But Ehud, he flat out refused to believe that his difference disqualified him. You see, history often changes very quietly. Before the big breakthrough ever becomes public, someone is privately preparing. If freedom was ever going to come for these people, someone had to actually step up and act. So, Ehud secretly prepares a double-edged dagger, not some massive heavy sword, just one carefully crafted, hidden weapon. And he straps it to his right thigh. Why? Because that's a place guards were highly unlikely to search, since predictable right-handed men carry their weapons on the opposite side. Listen, preparation matters. It's absolutely crucial. Too many people pray for an opportunity without ever preparing for it. But Ehud prepared quietly, patiently, invisibly. Then the day finally came. Ehud approaches the massive, heavy gates of King Eglon's palace to deliver that annual tribute. Picture this intense scene for a moment. You have a powerful king seated in absolute, unmatched luxury. Heavily armed guards posted everywhere, servants watching his every move carefully. Every single step Ehud took must have echoed loudly in that grand hall. One wrong move, one slightly misplaced look could cost Ehud his life instantly. The tension in that room, it must have been absolutely suffocating. But right after delivering the tribute, Ehud does something completely unexpected. He starts to walk away, but then he turns back. He manages to get everyone sent out of the room, looks directly at the king, and says, "I have a secret message for you." Man, think about the immense pressure of that exact moment. Sweaty palms, a racing heartbeat. The king gets curious, and suddenly, Ehud is completely alone with one of the most powerful men in the entire region. A lot of people assume courage means feeling zero fear. But real courage? Real courage often means acting while you're absolutely terrified. In that split second, Ehud reaches with his left hand, pulls that hidden dagger from his right thigh, and strikes the king. It was swift, it was decisive, and he escapes before the palace servants even realize what hit them. And in one singular heart-stopping moment, the entire balance of power shifted. Because after he escaped, Ehud didn't just go hide in a cave, no way. He rallied the people, he sounded the trumpet, and suddenly, the exact same people who once lived in terrifying fear began to fight fiercely for their freedom. And this whole event brilliantly illustrates the massive, unbelievable impact of just one courageous decision. Israel defeated the Moabites. The heavy oppression finally ended, and according to the historical records, the land experienced peace for 80 years. 80 years! Just think about that for a second. One prepared person, one courageous moment, one decision to act despite the fear, and an entire nation experienced a lifetime of profound freedom. So this is exactly why the story of Ehud still matters so much to us today. Because, let's be real, oppression still exists, even if it looks completely different now. We all sit around and wonder if we can actually make an impact. But history is literally filled with ordinary people who just refuse to remain powerless. The quiet worker showing up every single day. The exhausted mother carrying her family through endless sacrifice. The struggling entrepreneur. The overlooked creator. The person everyone underestimated. These are the unlikely heroes. And sometimes, those are exactly the people who end up changing everything. Ehud's greatest weapon wasn't really that dagger, was it? It was his courage, mixed with some incredibly careful preparation. He used what he had. He used who he was. He stopped looking at his difference as a weakness. And honestly, so many of us spend years wishing we could just become someone else, while completely ignoring the immense value of what is already right there in our hands. Your story might look unusual. Your journey might feel incredibly delayed. Your beginning might seem so small. But overlooked does not mean unusable. And those hidden seasons, those quiet, completely uncelebrated times of discipline, they so often produce the most incredibly strong people. Maybe you feel totally forgotten right now. Maybe life has just made you feel small. Maybe you look around at everyone else and wonder if your big moment will ever actually come. But the story of Ehud reminds us of something we can never forget. God often uses the very people literally nobody expects. The rejected, the underestimated, the profoundly different. So please, do not despise your process. Do not underestimate your potential. And never, ever believe the lie that your life cannot matter. Because we really have to ask ourselves, who does history actually remember? Because sometimes, the person nobody notices today becomes the person history remembers tomorrow. And maybe, just maybe, that person is you. Well, if this explainer encouraged you today, make sure to subscribe for more powerful historical breakdowns and real life-changing lessons. And hey, let's keep the conversation going down in the comments. What part of Ehud's journey really spoke to you the most? Share your thoughts, because your story might just hit the nail on the head and inspire someone else who's fighting silently. Until next time, stay encouraged, stay faithful, and never underestimate what can be done through ordinary people.